Welcome to our weekly Bhakti Vaibhav class. So, in the last week, we were discussing from chapter 14, where Citraketu Maharaj, who later on appeared as Vritrasura, so Shlukadeva Goswami is narrating the previous life of Vritrasura. So, in that, Citraketu was the king of the entire Bhumandala, and he had everything but not son. So, with an intention to have a son, he married many wives, many thousands of wives, but still he never had a son. So, at one point of time, Angira Rishi visited his kingdom. So, everything was fine, but the king was not happy inside. So, Angira Rishi asked, "What is the reason for your dissatisfaction?" The king said, "My dear sage, I have everything that is desired by the devatas, but I do not have a son. Please do something so that I can have a son." So even Angira Rishi wanted to say some spiritual instructions, but the king was not ready to hear anything because his mind was so much interested in having a son. He was not ready to hear any spiritual instructions. The Rishi, thinking for a while, gave him some sweet rice and requested him to give it to his wife so that that wife can bear children. So Citraketu took that sweet rice and offered it to his first queen, Krutaduti. And Krutaduti accepted that sweet rice, and in due course of time, she became pregnant and she delivered a beautiful baby. And at that time, even though Angiroshi wanted to tell that, though you are going to get a son, but he will be the cause of happiness and distress. The reason he wanted to tell, what is the reason for his happiness, what is the reason for his distress. But the sage did not say, thinking that let the king realize in due course of time. Sage left, and eventually the child was born. Because the child was born, the entire kingdom was so happy, so happy. The king was distributing grains, wealth, cows, clothes, gold, etc., etc., indiscriminately, just like the rain downpours water, like that the king was distributing gifts to one and all, unlimitedly, profusely. So, and then slowly the child was growing up, and the mother Krutati became very happy because after a long time she was the first wife, and she was the one who waited for a long time, and now she had a son, and she became greatly attached to that son. Because Kritaditi alone had a son, the other wives were thinking that, see, we are all the wives of same king only, but the king gave sweet rice to her only. Why not me? Why not me? Why not me? Like that everyone thought. And they became envious of Krutaditi because only Krutaditi became the mother of a child. And they began to condemn themselves. See, the king is spending most of the time with that queen only. And the queen is having all the happiness in this world by having a son. And we are completely neglected by everyone. And no one should live like us, childless. So they were condemning themselves for their unfortunate situation. And then they say that even the maid servant of Krutati, who is taking care of the child, is valued a lot, respected a lot. And we are not even given the respect which was given to the maid servant of Krutati. So our existence has become much lower than that of the maid servant of Krutati. So what is the use of us living? It is better to die. Like that, they were thinking about themselves, comparing themselves with the first queen of the king. First of all, they did not have children. Second, the king neglected them. And third, Krutati alone having a lot of happiness. And fourth, the respect shown to the maid servant of Krutati is not shown to the other queens. So they became completely dejected, and they are going to do something which no one would have imagined. So that is, so we'll see today. Verse number 41 onwards. The दासीनां को नु संतापा
दासीनां को नु संताप
स्वामिना परिचर्यया
स्वामिना परिचर्यया
अभीक्ष्णं लभमानानां
अभीक्षणं लब्धमानानां
दास्या दासेव दुर्भगा.
दास्या दासिव दुर्भगा. Even maidservants who are constantly engaged in rendering service to the husband are honored by the husband, and thus they have nothing for which to lament. Our position, however, is that we are maidservants of the maidservant. Therefore, we are most unfortunate.
Yeah, same thing. Just now we will discuss. Why should maids who serve master lament, since they gain respect of the master? Even the maid servants are happy because they are respected by the master, and we are not respected or not even recognized by our master. So there is no reason for us to be happy. But we are most unfortunate because we are simply maids of the maid servant. We have been rejected as if we are not existent only in this world. So like that they are thinking about themselves. Then evam sandayyamananam. Hare Krishna.
एवं सन्देह्यमानानां
Sapatnya putra sampada.
सपत्न्या पुत्रसम्पदा
Rajno sammata vrittinam.
राज्ञो सम्मता वृत्नीनां
Vidvesho balavanabhut.
विद्वेषो बलवानहुः. Sri Sukdev Goswami continued, being neglected by their husband and seeing Pritaduti's opulence in possessing a son, Pritaduti's co-wives always burned in envy, which became extremely strong.
Being neglected by their husband, I'm envious of Krutaduti's wealth in possessing a son. Krutaduti's co-wives developed strong hatred because of the four reasons. They were disrespected or neglected by the king, and only Krutaduti had a child. Only Krutaduti is experiencing immense happiness, immense joy, and they were not even treated like the maid servants. They considered themselves to be lower than the maid servants. Because of all these things, they thought that till now, none of us had any child. The king was treating all of us equally. But just because Krutaduti had a child and she was given all attention, she was given all respect, and we are neglected as if we are useless. So they develop strong hatred towards Krutaduti as well as Krutaduti's child. The reason for all this rejection is that child. So like that they thought. Vidvesha nashtamataya.
Vidvesha,
विद्वेषनष्टं
continue, Mataji.
विद्वेषनष्टमतया
Priyo dharuna chetasaha.
स्त्रियो दारुणचेष्टता
Gharam dadu kumaraya.
गरं ददु कुमाराय
Durmarsha nrupatim prati.
दुर्मर्षा नृपतिं प्रति. As their envy increased, they lost their intelligence, being extremely hard-hearted and unable to tolerate the king's neglect. They finally administered poison to the son. Hare Krishna.
Losing discretion because of hatred and being intolerant of the king, those cruel women gave poison to the young child. They became intolerant of the joy of Trutaduti. They became intolerant of the child being there in the palace. It is all because of child only. Till now there was no child, everyone was treated equally. Now child came, things have changed. So unable to tolerate the existence of the child, they fed poison to the child. If child is not there, then things will be like old previous thing, like that. Prutadyutir ajananti
कृतद्युतिर् अजानन्ति
सपत्नीनां मगं महत्
सपत्नीनाम् अघं महत्
सप्त एवेति संचिन्त्य
उक्त एवेति सञ्चिन्त्य
निरीक्षा व्यचरद्गृहे
निरीक्ष्य व्यचरत् गृहे. Unaware of the poison administered by her co-wives, Queen Kritadyuti walked within the house, thinking that her son was sleeping deeply. She did not understand that he was dead.
Unaware of the sinful act of her co-wives, Queen Kritaduti walked about in the house looking at her son, thinking that he was sleeping. So the co-wives, they fed poison to the child and child is dead. But without knowing this, Kritaduti was busy with her activities, thinking that the child is sleeping. Shayanam Suchiram Balam. Hare Krishna.
Shayanam Suchiram Balam
Upadarya Manishini.
Upadharya Manishini
Putram Anayame Badre.
Putram Anaye Me Badre
Iti Dhatrim Achodayat.
Iti Datrim Achodayat. Thinking that her child had been sleeping for a long time, Queen Kritaditi, who was certainly very intelligent, ordered the nurse, "My dear friend, please bring my son here." Hare Krishna.
So because the child was sleeping for long, maybe from morning to late afternoon, she thought that it's not there. The child will never sleep so long. So she told her maid servant, please go and get my child, wake him up and bring him here. It is long time. He did not eat anything. He is still sleeping for a long time. Then her maid servant went to find out the child. Sa shayanam upavrajya
Sashayanam upavrajya
दृष्ट्वा चोत्तारलोचनम्
दृष्ट्वा चोत्तारलोचनम्
प्राणेन्द्रियात्मभिस्त्यक्तम्
प्राणेन्द्रियात्मभिस्त्यक्तम्
हतास्मीति अपतद्भुवि.
हतास्मेति apatat bhuvi. When the maidservant approached the child who was lying down, he saw that his eyes were turned upwards. There were no signs of life, all his senses having stopped, and she could understand that the child was dead. Seeing this, she immediately cried, "Now I am doomed," and fell to the ground.
Yeah. So she went to the cradle where the child is still sleeping, and she saw child was not moving at all. The eyes are wide open and not responding to her calling. And she understood the child is dead. And she immediately thought that because I am the caretaker of the child, what happened to child? Now the king will kill me. So she fell down saying that I am doomed, I am dead, I am dead. Because she was the responsible for the child, taking care of the child, and the child is dead. So everyone will question her. She thought she thinking that she fell down unconscious, and she then immediately got up and she began to cry loudly so that the entire palace could be heard. So that is mentioned in the next verse.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, sorry to interrupt. Is it possible to increase the volume? The audio is quite low.
Audio is quite low. How come? Every time it comes nicely. You increase the volume of your device. Hmm. Other devotees also have the same problem. Audio is low. Hare Krishna.
No, Prabhuji, it is
Hare Krishna, no
normal in my
Prabhuji.
phone. It's
हाँ
No
normal.
Prabhuji, it's normal.
विनीत प्रभु आपका
Yes,
डिवाइस को
Prabhuji.
अपडेट करो.
Okay.
तस्या सदाकर्ण्य sorry तस्या सदाकर्ण्य वृषातुरं स्वरम्
तस्या तदाकर्ण्य वृषोत्तरं स्वरम्
गन्त्या कराभ्यम् उरवुच्चकैरपि
ग्रन्थ्या कराभ्यम् उर उच्चकैरपि
प्रविश्य राज्ञी त्वरयात्मजान्तिकम्
प्रविश्य राज्ञी त्वरयात्मजान्तिकम्
ददर्श बालं सहसामृतं सुतं.
Dadarsha balam sahasamritam sutam. In great
Papa,
agitation,
one second, one second, one second. One more verse is joined together. Papata bhumau parivruddhaya sucha.
papata bhumau parivardaya sucha.
Mumoha vibrasta sirohu ambara.
Mumuha vibrasta siroruhambara. Hare Krishna. In great agitation, the maidservant struck her breast with both hands and cried loudly in regretful words. Hearing her loud voice, the queen immediately came, and when she approached her son, she saw that he was suddenly dead. In great lamentation, her hair and dress in disarray, the queen fell to the ground unconscious.
Yeah. So because hearing the loud sounds of the maid servant, the queen and all other the palace ladies, they came running to the place from where this lady is shouting, and they all came and saw the child is dead, lifeless, and everyone began to cry. Tato nrupa, tato nrupanta puravartino jana.
Tato nripanta puravartino jana.
Narascha naryascha nishamya rodanam.
Narascha naryascha nishamya rodanam.
आगत्य तुल्या व्यसना सुदुःखितास्.
Agatya tulya vyasana sudukhitas.
ताश्चावेलीकं रुरुदु कृतागसा.
Tascha vyalikam rurudu kritagasam. O King Parikshit, hearing the loud crying, all the inhabitants of the palace came, both men and women. Being equally aggrieved, they also began to cry. The queens who had administered the poison also cried pretentiously, knowing full well their
So,
offense.
yes, yes. So, first of all, the queen and nearby her maidservants came, and the people who were crying became more. So, hearing their sounds, all the palace ladies from all over, they all came, both men and women. Everyone within the palace and in the vicinity, they all came and everyone began to cry. Looking everyone crying, even the other queens, some of them who administered poison, some of the other queens who are not administered poison, they also began to weep. Because the king had many thousands of queens. It is not that all the other queens have plotted to kill the child. Maybe from all the remaining wives, maybe few of them might have plotted. So even they and others also, everyone began to cry. Because who will not? Because when everyone is crying, who will not cry? The agony becomes multiplied in the company of many people who are crying. The whole, eventually the news goes to the entire city. The whole city will assemble and began to cry. And then the information came to Raja Darbar, where king was seated. The king, when he comes to know, the king was unable to go back to the Antapura. Even on the way only, he was falling down again and again. He was not even able to walk all the way up to the Antapura. That is the situation, because king thought that I am only living because my son is there. If son is dead, there is no point in me living. After so much hard struggle, one son was born, and now that son is dead. So what is the use of my life living? Karke? The king also was unable to compose himself, and he was falling down here, there, left, right, and being escorted by the ministers and all the other well-wishers. The king also comes to the Antapura, where the child is lying dead in the cradle. So this is how the narration will be continuing. श्रुत्वा मृतं पुत्रमलक्षितान्तकम्
Shrutva mritam putram alakshitantakam
विनस्तदृष्टि प्रपटन् स्खलन्पति
vinashtadrishti prapatan sakalan pati.
स्नेहानुबद्धैदितया शुचाभृशम्
स्नेहानुबन्धै वन्देदिताय सुचब्रसन्
विमूर्छितो नो प्रकृतिर्द्विजैर्वृता
विमूर्छितोऽनुप्रकृतिर्द्विजैर्वृतः
पपातबालस्य सपादमूले
पपातबालस्य सपादमूले
मृतस्य विसृष्टशिरोरुहाम्बरा
मृतस्य विस्रस्तशिरोरुहाम्बुरः
दीर्घं श्वसन् बाष्पकलोपरोदतो
दीर्घं श्वसन् बाष्पकलोपरोदत
निरुद्धकण्ठो न शशाकभाषितुम्
निरूढकण्ठो न शशङ्कभाषितुम्. When King Citraketu heard of his son's death from unknown cause, he became almost blind. Because of his great affection for his son, his lamentation grew like a
Second translation.
surrounded by his ministers and other officers and the learned brahmanas present. The king approached and fell unconscious at the child's feet, his hair and dress scattered. When the king, breathing heavily, regained consciousness, his eyes were tearful and he could not speak. Hare Krishna.
When King Citraketu heard of his son's death from unknown causes, no one knows how the child died. Because no one will tell that, okay, we administered poison. No one will tell that. What happened, how it happened, no one knows. The child suddenly dead. When the news came to the king, he became almost blind. Because of his great affection for his son, his lamentation grew like a blazing fire. He kept slipping and falling on the ground while going to see the child. Surrounded by his ministers and brahmanas, the king approached and fell at the child's feet, his hair and dress scattered. The king, breathing heavily, with tearful eyes and choked voice, could not even utter a word. The king, thinking that I am dead, with the death of my son, I am also dead. Like that he was feeling. The child had died because of some unknown cause. Alakshitantakam. No one knows who is the killer of the child and what was the purpose of killing the child. They thought that the child died naturally. Anuprakriti means ministers and friends. Surrounded by ministers and brahmanas, while the king was going to see the child, he was falling down again and again. So even they also fell down, unable to hold the king. So this is the kind of agony the king is experiencing. And now king came to the child and he was seated next to the dead child. And then what happens? Patim niriksho rusucharpitam tada
पतिं निरीक्षो सुचार्पितं तदा
mrutam cha balam sutameka
मृतं च बालं सुतमेकसन्ततिम्
janasya rajni prakrite cha rudirujam
जनस्य राज्ञी प्रकृतेश्च हृद्रुजम्
sati dadana vilalapa chitradha.
सती दधाना विललापचित्रधा. When the queen saw her husband, King Citraketu, merged in great lamentation and saw the dead child who was the only son in the family, she lamented in various ways. This increased the pain in the course of the hearts of all the inhabitants of the palace, the ministers, and all the brahmanas.
When the queen saw her husband merged in great lamentation and saw the dead child, who was the only son in the entire family for the continuation of the family lineage, she lamented in various ways. This increased the pain in the course of the hearts of all the inhabitants of the palace, the ministers, and all the brahmanas. Looking at the dead child one side, looking at the king was become dumb, unable to see both of them. The queen began to lament very highly, saying that he is the only one child who will continue the legacy further. And now that child is lying dead. And seeing the child lying dead, her husband also almost dead, on the verge of death. So, unable to tolerate this condition, the queen is going to say some strong words against the Supreme Lord. He was the continuation of the family line. She nourished the pain in the hearts of the ministers. So, looking at the pain that she was going through, even the ministers and all the Brahmanas who were supposed to be sober, they also began to lament. Everyone, each and every person, the entire kingdom, especially the capital city, everyone is assembled there and everyone is lamenting very heavily. Then, Tanadvayam Kumkumapankamanditam
Tanadavyam kumkumara pankamanditam.
Nisinchati Sanjana Bashpa Bindubhi
Nisinjati sanjana bashpa bindubi.
Vikirya Keshan Vigalasrujastutam
Vikirya keshan vigalasraja sutam.
Sushosha Chitram Purarivastuswaram.
Susuja chitram kurariva suswaram. The garland of flowers decorating the queen's head fell, and her hair scattered. Falling tears melted the collyrium on her eyes and moistened her breasts, which were covered with kumkuma powder. As she lamented the loss of her son, her loud crying resembled the sweet sound of kurari bird.
So she was crying, and the tears are drenching all her body. That's what is being indicated. So now she will say some strong words at the Supreme Lord from 54th verse to 61 verse, some 7-8 verses. She actually reprimands the Supreme Lord. Aho vidata stava atpamativa bhalisho
Aho vidhata swamativa balisho
yastvatma srishti apratirupamihase.
yastvatmasrishti apratirupam ihase.
परेनु जीव तपरस्य यामते आमृतेर्
Pare nujivatyaparasya yamritir
विपर्ययश्चेत्त्वमसि ध्रुवपरा.
viparyayasche dhruvaparam. Alas, O Providence, O Creator, you are certainly inexperienced in creation, for during the lifetime of a father, you have caused the death of his son, thus acting in opposition to your creative laws. If you are determined to contradict these laws, you are certainly the enemy of all living entities and are never merciful.
She is saying, O Creator, you are certainly inexperienced in creation, for during the lifetime of a father, you have caused the death of his son, thus acting in opposition to your laws of creation. If you are determined to contradict these laws, you are certainly our enemy. So she is going to speak on some subtle points. The cause of lamentation is the Lord. So she will say in the future verse also, she will say that we have been waiting for a son for so long, we have not got a son, and we have got a son and he immediately died. Normally it is that those who are born first, they will die first. Those who are born later, they will die later. But here, our son is just born and he died. So what is this? The cause of he doing this is foolishness. Whatever is happening in front of us is all because of Lord's foolishness. She gives the Lord some advice for his own benefit, so that he will not do as he has done again. She considers that the Lord is not omniscient, not omnipotent, and not omnipresent. So we generally call Lord as Lord with so many attributes: omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipresent. So Vishnu, Ishvara, and Abhijna Swarat. These words indicate him being omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. So she said that Lord is not all these things. Lord does not have all these qualities and all these powers. The Lord is inexperienced. He is childish because he has made his own creation improperly. Apratirupam. It is not properly made. How it is improper? One may ask. While the elders lives, the child is dying. What kind of creation Lord is doing? When the parents are still living, the children are dying. There is a problem in the creation if the elders cannot create and the children die. The creation should be like that. When the people are growing, they should give byproducts, they should beget children, and eventually they should die, and the children should continue to live, and then there is a normal creation. First of all, we were not able to produce children, and second, the children who were produced after long effort are dying before our eyes. What kind of creation you are doing? You are inexperienced, don't know how to create. If you think that now you will do everything in an opposite way during creation, then you are certainly our enemy. So if you being the Lord, you may say that no, it is my choice. The way I want, I will do. Then you are really an enemy of us. Because what happening to us is not happening to anybody else. For others, they are having child on time properly, and they are dying before the eyes of their children. But for us, first of all, we did not have child, and second, our child is dying in front of our eyes. So you must be our enemy. That's why you are doing this to us. Doing what is wrong for you to do, you also show that you are inimical to us by making us suffer. I think that you want to see us suffering. Till now we were suffering because we did not have child, and now we are suffering because our child is lost. You are not all knowing. People may know you as all knowing personality, but you don't know all. You can't understand our pain of separation. So you are not all knowing. You don't know everything. Like that, she is saying. So then Lord might say, so what is my offense? Since I only give birth and death according to a jiva's karma. So according to karma, the birth and death is happening. What is my fault in that? There is no law that while the son lives, the father dies, or that after the father dies, the son should die. Since it depends on karma, the Lord might say that there is no such kind of rule that father should live long and then son should live much more longer and father should die in front of son. Not like that. The birth and death takes place because of karma, not because of me. Then she will say that let karma be there. Why are you there then? Let the birth and death happen by karma. But then what action do you perform? Then what is the use of you being there? Then what do you do? If everything is happening by karma, then what is there for you to do? Then Lord will say that, how can all this be accomplished by insentient karma without my control? If you are saying that everything let it happen by karma, if even for things to happen by karma, there should be one master. If there is no master, how the karma will function? Then she will say something very strongly in the next verse. In the next verse, she will say that you are not, in the previous verse, is that you are not all knowing. In the next verse, she will say that you are not all powerful and you are not all compassionate. Though you may think that you may be the master of karma, but you are not all powerful. You don't have the capacity to change the karma. And then you can't even moved by the suffering that we are going through. We have been going through suffering for so long, and you never ever what do you say? You never ever considered our suffering so seriously, and you never wanted to do something to alleviate our suffering. So like that, she was saying. So that she will say in the next verse. Nahi kramasche mrutyu janmano.
Nahi kramaste iha mrityu janmano
Shariri namastu tadatma karma bhi.
shariri namastu tadatma karma bhi
Yasneha pasho nija sarga vruddhaye.
tasneha pasho nij sarga vrittaye
Swayam krutaste tamimam vivrush. vivrishchasi.
Swayam kritaste tamimam vivrishchasi. My lord, you may say that there is no law that a father must die in the lifetime of his son, and that a son must be born in the lifetime of his father. Since everyone lives and dies according to his own fruitive activity, however, if fruitive activity is so strong that birth and death depend upon it, there is no need of a controller or God. Again, if you say that a controller is needed because the material energy does not have the power to act, one may answer that if the bonds of affection, one may answer that if the bonds of affection you have created are disturbed by fruitive action, no one will raise children with affection. Instead, everyone will cruelly neglect his children. Since you have cut the bonds of affection that compel a parent to raise his child, you appear inexperienced and unintelligent. Hare Krishna.
If you say there is no rule that the son should not die while the father lives, then let birth and death happen by karma. But still, you have created bonds of affection for increasing your creation. And then you have cut those bonds and caused undue suffering. She is very analytically saying, true, my dear Lord. Yeah, for the karma to happen, there should be a controller of karma. But that is fine. If everything has to happen by karma, if everything has to happen, the controller of karma, then why let there be a relationship between the people? Everyone should be without any affection or bondage or relationship. Where things are happening by karma, ultimately karma will prevail everywhere. True, it is accomplished by you, but you have created bonds of affection for increasing your creation, and you cut those bonds. It is you who created the affectionate bonds between parents and children. And now, today you are mercilessly cutting that bond. What is this? Seeing such misery arising from affection, who will have affection for their children? See, you have made a system in such a way that the parents will beget children because of two reasons. The parents have affection for children, as well as that is your purpose of continuing the creation. But when the parents see their death of their children in front of their eyes, if that is going to happen in the future regularly, then who would beget children? Then your creation will not continue further. Unable to tolerate the pain of seeing the death of their children, no parents will beget children. Then your creation will stop. It will not continue. And without affection of children, how will they survive? The parents live their whole life only because children are there. If there are no children, what is the purpose for which they live? There is nothing left for them in their life. You are certainly a fool because of this fault in your creation. Therefore, you are not all powerful, you are not all compassionate, and you are not all knowing. These are the three attributes with which she is kind of criticizing the Supreme Lord, because Lord has made an improper creation in an improper way. Or there is another meaning. Affection is the cause of happiness and distress. Without affection, let the children be born and let them die. Then there will be no happiness and no distress. So parents will have happiness and distress because of children. You remove that. You can give the children and can they kill them whenever you want, but remove these affectionate bonds between the parents and children. Then there will be no problem to anybody. Let the children be born, let the children be died, and then things will happen on their own. No one will be suffered because of that. But you have created a Srishti in such a way that in that Srishti the children are dying before the parents, and parents are not able to tolerate the pain of separation. What kind of creation you have done? So like that she is criticizing the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna, all of you are able to follow? Anyone has any questions?
No, Prabhuji, no questions.
Hare Krishna, no problem.
त्वं तातनार्हसि च मां कृपणाम् अनाताम्
Tvam tatanarhasi cha mam कृपणाम् अनाथाम्
त्यक्तुं विचक्ष्वपितरं तव शोकतप्तम्
त्यक्तुं विचक्ष्व पितरं त्वशोकतप्तम्
अञ्जस्तरेम भवता प्रजदुस्तरं यत्
अञ्जस्तरेम भवता प्रजदुस्तरं यद्
ध्वान्तं न यायि अकरुणेन यमेन धूरम्
ध्वान्तं न याहि अकरुणेन यमेन दूरम्. My dear son, I am helpless and very much aggrieved. You should not give up my company. Just look at your lamenting father. We are helpless because without a son we shall have to suffer the distress of going to the darkest hellish regions. You are the only hope by which we can get out of these dark regions. Therefore, I request you not to go any further with the merciless Yama.
So, my dear son, you should not give up my company, since I am helpless and miserable. Just look at your lamenting father. By you, we could easily cross over dark hellish existence, which cannot be crossed without a son. Do not go with merciless Yamaraja. So the mother is after criticizing the Supreme Lord, she is thinking that why am I gossiping with the foolish Lord? Why do I not think of the benefit of my son? O son, by you alone we could cross the hell, which is dark and difficult to cross over. Because according to Varnashrama system, it is considered that every person, whoever is born in this world, has six runas for six category of people. Devarshi Bhutapta Nunam cha Pitrunam. Deva, Rishi, Bhuta, Apta, Nunam, and Pitru. The runa for Pitrus is cleared by begetting children. It is because it is the children who will offer Shraddha Karmas for the deceased parents. And now she is telling that since you were born, we were all happy. Now you died, we are all unhappy. So no one will be able to offer Shraddha Karma rights for us and for our ancestors. So all of us will fall to hell as a result of not being offered the uh, Shraddha rights. So saying that, but now whatever it may be, Yamaraja is taking you and you are going along with Yamaraja. My dear son, please don't go with Yamaraja. Please tell Yamaraja that I'll come after some time and then come back. But Yamaraja is taking me to his city. What can I do, my mother? Then the mother says, don't go with that merciless Yamaraj. Tell him that I'll come after some time and come back. If you don't come back, see what is the condition of your father, and your father will die and I will die. Like that, she is pleading to her son who is carried away by Yamaraj. So like that. And still there was no response from the child. Then she thought that child is sleeping for lot of time, and now she is going to wake up the child. My dear son, please get up. You slept for long. Daily you sleep only 1-2 hours. Today you are sleeping for 4-5 hours. Please get up. Please get up. Like that she is going to say in the next verse. Uttishta taime shishavo vayasyas
उत्तिष्ठतात इमे शिशस्व वयस्यास्
त्वामाह्वयन्ति नृपनन्दन संवित् हर्तुम्
त्वम् आहवायन्ति नृपनन्दन संविहर्तुम्
सुप्तश्चिरं हि अशनया च भवान् प्रतीतो परीतो
सुप्तश्चिरं ह्य असन्न च भवान् परितो
भुङ्क्ष्वास्तनं भुङ्क्षास्तनं पिबसुषो हरणा स्वकानाम्
भुङ्क्ष्वास्तनं पीबसुचो हरना स्वकानम्. My dear son, you have slept a long time. Now please get up. Your playmates are calling you to play. Since you must be very hungry, please get up and suck my breast and dissipate our lamentation.
Yeah, she's telling that you slept for long. Your friends have come. Please get up and take milk and then go and play. Like that, she is requesting her dead son. Then she further continues. This is the last verse that she speaks. Naham tanuja dadrishe hatamangalate
Naham tanujadadrashe hatamangalate
mugdasmitam mudita मुग्धस्मितं मुदितवीक्षणमाननाब्जम्
mugdasmitam muditavekshanam ananabjam.
किं वा गतोऽस्य पुनरन्वयमन्यलोकम्
Kim va gatosya punar anvayam anyalokam.
नीतो गृणेन न शृणोमि कलागिरस्ते
Nito grinena na shrinomi kalagiraste. My dear son, I am certainly most unfortunate, for I can no longer see your mild smiling. You have closed your eyes forever. I therefore conclude that you have been taken from this planet to another from which you will not return. My dear son, I can no longer hear your pleasing voice.
So she says that, my dear son, I am certainly the most unfortunate one, for I can no longer see your mild smiling, your joyful eyes and lotus face. Have you gone to the world from which you cannot return? Have you gone to spiritual world? Or have you been taken by cruel Yamaraja? Because of this, I can no longer hear your pleasing voice. I can no longer see your playing countenance. Like that, she is telling. Oh, my son, I do not see your lotus face with happy smile, since you do not awaken. Have you gone to the next world from which you cannot return? What is your fault by which Yamaraja has taken you? Because you have been taken, I do not hear your sweet words, and I cannot see you smiling and playing and all these things. Like that, she is actually pitiably crying and expressing her agony. Initially criticizing the Supreme Lord, then criticizing Yamaraj, then pleading the son, please come and get up and start playing with your friends. So, like that, she was speaking all these words, and the king was sitting next to the dead boy, and he was just looking at the boy without uttering a word. In one sense, he was echoing with the sentiments that are exhibited by the queen. Whatever queen said, the king also was thinking about the same. Yes, what you are saying is right. The Lord is not compassionate, Lord is not knowledgeable, Lord is not powerful, and is not at all happy to see us happy. So, like that. He was making us cry all these days by not giving a child, and now he is making us cry once again by taking away the child. Like that, they are kind of complaining to the Lord. So, in this way. So, then what happened? Sri Shuka Uvacha Krishna
Shri Shuka Uvacha
Vilapantya Putram
Vilapantyamritam Putram
Iti Chitra Vilapanai
Iti Chitra Vilapanai
Citraketur Brusham Tapto
Citraketur Brisham Tapto
Mukta Kantorurodaha.
Mukta Kantorurodaha. Sri Shukadev Goswami continued. Accompanied by his wife, who was thus lamenting for her dead son, King Citraketu began crying loudly with an open mouth, being greatly aggrieved.
Yeah. So, along with the wife, the king also expressing his lamentation. And looking at both king and queen lamenting, the whole kingdom is lamenting. Tayorvilapato sarve
तयोर्विलपतो सर्वे
dampatyostad anuvrataha
Sampatyo sat anuvrataha.
Rurudusmanara narya
Rurudu smanara narya.
sarvam asid acetanam.
Sarvam asit achetanam. As the king and queen lamented, all their male and female followers joined them in crying. Because of the sudden accident, all the citizens of the kingdom were almost unconscious.
Seeing this condition of the king and queen, everyone in the kingdom stopped their works and they continued to lament. Evam kashmalamapatnam
Evam kashmalamapannam
nashtasanyam anayakam
nashtasamyam anayakam
ज्ञात्वाङ्गीर नाम ऋषेर्
Nyatvangira namarishir
अजगामा स नारदा.
ajagama sanaradaha. When the great sage Angira understood that the king was almost dead in an ocean of lamentation, he went there with Narad Rishi.
Yeah. So understanding what's happening, because it was Angira Rishi who blessed the king with a child. Now the child is dead. The news came all the way up to Angira Rishi. So Angira Rishi came to the kingdom. This time he did not come alone. He came along with Narada Muni. Understanding that all the citizens had lost consciousness and were without a leader, since Citraketu was almost dead, the sage went there. So this is how Angira Rishi brought Narada Muni along with him, and both Angira Rishi and Narada Muni will give the king some important spiritual instructions. So by following which he will attain perfection. So that is the connection to next chapter. Any questions? Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, any reason why he brought Narad Muni along with him?
Because last time Angira alone came, the king was not ready to hear him. So this time, see, when there is pain, so the more will come, the more solace will be there. So that is one thing. And Angira Rishi also want to give the special mercy of Narada Muni upon King Citraketu. So in that way he brought him. Because everyone knows Narada Muni is a great soul, he can award a pure devotional service unto anyone. So in that way.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Other devotees, anyone has any question?
No question, Prabhuji.
So 15th chapter. Yes, Prabhu.
No, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. No.
In the 15th chapter, the two sages deliver the king from suffering, and Narada Muni gives him instructions on a mantra. So 15th and 16th chapters, we'll see that both the sages will relieve the compassion of King Citraketu, and especially Narada Muni will initiate him on Chaturvyuha mantra. We generally know these mantras like Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, etc. etc. There is a Chaturvyuha mantra which Narada Muni received from Bhakti Vedantas in his previous life. The same mantra now he will initiate and give to Citraketu Maharaj. That will be mentioned this and next chapters.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Mataji.
Prabhuji, what does this Chaturvyuha mantra mean?
When that shloka comes, we'll tell you. Basically, Chaturvyuha mantra means the four lords' names will be there. Normally, mantra might have one lord name only, like Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya or Om Namo Narayana. And that mantra will have Vasudeva, Sankarashna, Pradyumna. All the four names will be there. So in that way.
Okay. Okay.
Sri Shuka Uvacha.
Hare Krishna. Sri Sukha Uvacha.
Uchaturmruta Kopante.
Uchaturmrita Kopante.
Patitam Mruta Kopamam.
Patitamrita Kopamam.
Shoka Vibhutam Rajanam.
Soka Vibhutam Rajanam.
Bodhayanto Sadukti.
Bodayanto Saduktivi. Sri Sukadev Goswami said, while King Citraketu, overcome by lamentation, lay like a dead body at the side of the dead body of his son, the two great sages Narada and Angira instructed him about spiritual consciousness as follows.
While King Citraketu, overcome by lamentation, lay like a dead body at the side of the dead body of his son, the two great sages Narada and Angira instructed him about spiritual consciousness as follows. Bodhayantau sad uktibihi. Both of them will speak, but first of all, Angira Rishi will speak, then Narada Muni will speak. Ko ayam syatava Rajendra.
Ko ayam syatava Rajendra.
Bhavan yam anusochati.
Bhavanyam anusochati.
Tvam chasya katama srushtau.
Tvam chasya katamah srishtau.
Pure danim ata param.
Pure danim ata param. O king, what relationship does the dead body for which you lament have with you, and what relationship do you have with him? You may say that you are now related as father and son, but do you think this relationship existed before? Does it truly exist now? Will it continue in future?
So this chapter little highly philosophical, and because this knowledge Angira Rishi wanted to give him last time when he came, because that time the king was not ready to listen. So this time there was nothing else to do other than listening. So that's why the sages are going to speak to the king. Angira Rishi says, "O best of the kings, what relationship does the dead body for which you lament have with you? And what relationship do you have with him? Who is who in your previous birth, in this birth, and in a future birth?" So this verse is somewhat similar to the verse spoken by Lord Krishna in the second chapter. Uh, uh, verse number 11, Lord Krishna starts saying that only a fool laments like this, even while speaking the words of learned men. And wherein he says that asochan annosochastyam prajna vadam shabasate gatasun nagatasun cha nanu sochanti panditaha. But actually, a pandita, a knowledgeable person, will never lament for the dead body or for the living person, because Atma is eternal. How Atma is eternal? Lord Krishna states in the next verse, Natve vaham jatunasham natvam neme janadipa nachaiva na bhavishyama sarve vaya mataparam. So all the living entities who are there in the battlefield today were there in the previous life also and will be there in the next life also. But among them, the relationships may be different, but they were always there. There is no death for the living entity. Same way, here Angira Rishi is asking the king, my dear king, please tell me. Now you are telling that he is your son. What was the relationship between both of you in the previous life? And what will be the relationship between both of you in the next life? Can you please tell me this? Who is who in the previous life and who is who will be in the next life? Please tell me. Who is he in relation to you? The king says, he is my son. How can you say that? Who is who? He is my son. The sage says, yeah, that is true. But what you in relation to him? I am his father. Then in a previous birth or in the next birth, who is who? So in this lifetime, you are his father, is your son. Then what is the relation between both of you in the previous life and how you both are related in the next life? Those who had a relationship with sons in a previous birth at death were separated from those sons, and in the present life, they are the sons of that person or another person. So for example, in the previous verse, previous life, you had a son, but at death, both of you have been separated. And the separate current life, your son might become somebody else's son, or somebody else's son in the previous life might become your son this life. In another life, they become wives, enemies, or friends, or that, or another person. So this life, someone may be your son. In the next life, that son may become somebody else in relationship, maybe father, maybe uncle, maybe friend, maybe relative, and maybe enemy also. Now this life is son because you show a lot of love, affection. In the next life, when he becomes enemy, you hate him. So which is correct in these two? The love is correct or hate is correct? So like that, he is trying to give him knowledge analytically. यथा प्रयान्ति यथा प्रयान्ति समयान्ति सम्यान्ति
यथा प्रयन्ति सम्यन्ति
श्रोतो वेगेन बालुका
श्रोतो वेगेन बालुका
वियुज्यन्ते
संयुज्यन्ते वियुज्यन्ते
तथा कालेन देहिना.
तथा कालेन देहिना. O king, as small particles of sand sometimes come together and are sometimes separated due to the force of the waves, the living entities who have accepted material bodies sometimes come together and are sometimes separated by the force of time.
As small particles of sand come together and are separated by force of the waves, the jivas come together and separated by the force of time. So he gives an example. So just as particles of sand join and separate by the force of the waves, jivas meet and separate by the force of time. In some lifetime, there are few living entities brought together as friends and relatives in one family. In another lifetime, they are born at different places. There will be no connection and no relationship among them. So coming together and going apart, it is all happening by the will of the time, by the will of the providence. So which is true? When you both being together, that is true, or when both you being far apart, that is true. So who is who for whom? So like that, Angira Rishi is asking. And then in the next verse, he will give you a practical understanding of this concept. Yata daneshu vaidana
यथा दानेषु वैदाना
bhavanti na bhavanti cha
भवन्ति न भवन्ति च
evam bhutani bhuteshu
एवं भूतानि भूतेषु
choditani shamayaya.
चोदितानि शमायया. When seeds are sown in the ground, they sometimes grow into plants and sometimes do not. Sometimes the ground is not fertile and the sowing of seeds is unproductive. Similarly, sometimes a prospective father, being impelled by the potency of the Supreme Lord, can beget a child, but sometimes conception does not take place. Therefore, one should not lament over the artificial relationship of parenthood, which is ultimately controlled by the Supreme Lord.
So here he will say, taking the example of the seeds. We may have so many seeds. So sometimes the seeds can grow to the tree, sometimes they may not. So like that. Just as grains appear or do not appear from seeds, similarly, children appear or do not appear from fathers, being driven by the effect of Maya. So then, after hearing the previous thing, the king says, I may or may not be his father or his son in this birth or another birth. But enough with such questions for now. Please tell me for what fault do I experience suffering caused by separation from my object of affection? And the sage said that it is not your offense. The cause is time alone. There is no fault in you. Don't think like that. It is all happening because of your fault. Not like that. It is happening by the will of the providence. This is what they explain. But for a long time, I did not have a son. In my old age, a son was born, but died immediately. This is great suffering. I was suffering all my life. Till now, I was marrying so many wives with the intention to get children, but I did not have. And now one child was born and he died. What fault is there in me that I'm destined to go through suffering again and again? So then, uh, the sage says that among the grains, among the grain seeds, some produce plants and then grains, and some do not, but get destroyed. Similarly, among fathers, some produce sons and some do not. So, my dear king, don't think that every person had to beget children. Not like that. In your godown, you may be so many grains. Even you sow all the grains, but every grain does not become a plant and produce new grains. Some of them might go waste. Similarly, every man may not be able to produce children. Some of them may not be able to produce children. So you are one among them. Accept it. Don't go against the will of the providence. Like that. Though some grains produce and others are produced, they have no relationship as father and son. Even when you sow one grain, that produces some 100 grains. To the grains among themselves, they say that you are my brother, I am your brother, he is my father, and we are all his children. Like that, the grains always say. One grain is sown, it produces 100 grains, 100 grains go in different places, and they produce another 100 plants, and they produce another grains, and like that, the things are happening. The grains are not too attached to the source grains. Thus, there is no lamentation among the grains community. Dana means roasted grains and a woman. Thus, there is another meaning. Just as a grain does not arise from roasted grains, sons do not arise in persons like you without karma for having sons. Like you may have some groundnuts. If you roast on the pan, and after the roasting, if you sow the groundnut, it will never become a plant. But raw groundnut, if you sow, it can become plant. Similarly, some people's karma does not have the fortune, good fortune of having children. So they are like roasted grains. So because that karma is not there in their life, so they can never beget children. So don't compare yourself with the good grains. So like that is telling. O king, driven by Maya, the living entities have sons. To enlighten you, I, Angira, became your son, through the influence of Maya. Though you are destined not to have a son, it was I myself had appeared as a son through you. The son who was born is actually not the real son, is actually a Maya son. It was my expansion only. I alone appeared as your son. Like that. Like that, Angira Rishi reveals, open the curtain. So you are, because of your past karmas, you are not destined to have a son. But because you are so much in lamentation, it was I who appeared as your son for some time as a Maya son to enlighten you. So like that, the sage kind of opened the curtain. So like that. Then he further continues. Vayanchatvam cha eche me
वयं च त्वं च ये चे मे
तुल्यकालाश्चराचरा
तुल्यकालाश्चराचरा
जन्म मृत्युर्यथा पश्चात्
जन्म मृत्योर्यथा पश्चात्
प्राण्नैवम् अधुनापि भो.
प्राणनैवम् अधुनापि भो. O king, both you and we, your advisors, wives, and ministers, as well as everything moving and not moving throughout the entire cosmos at this time, are in a temporary situation. Before our birth, this situation did not exist, and after our death, it will exist no longer. Therefore, our situation now is temporary, although it is not false.
The sage further says that, O king, both you and we, as well as everything moving and non-moving who are situated here now around us, were not together before our birth and will not be together after our death. So whatever we see, whomsoever we see around us, will not be like this in the next life and were not like this in the previous life. We are not even together even at the present time. So he says that since all of us were not together in the past and we are not going to be together in the future, and how can you say that we are together now? This is not a permanent reality. Don't think that just because you and your son were together for last 1 year and you have both have to be together for the rest of eternity. That is not a possible case. Anyway, in the previous life you are not together. In the next life you will not be together. Even in this life, till 1 year back, both of you were not together, and from now on, both of you will not be together. Both of you are together only for 1 year, as if the two dust particles are brought together by wind, and by the same wind, both will be separated. This is, since it is a temporary phase, don't cry for it like that. The sage is saying. Not only the dead son lamentable, wife, ministers, and relatives are all presently existing are also to be lamented. We are all situated here now at once. Before our birth and after our death, we do not exist. Even now, we do not exist. So you think that your son alone died? So whomsoever you see around us will die tomorrow or day after tomorrow. Don't think that all of us will continue to stay for the rest of eternity. All of us are going to die today or tomorrow. So in that way, things which do not exist in the three phases of time cannot be called as substantial. Our we being together was not existing in the past, is not going to exist in the future, and our existence together now also cannot be accepted as substantial. That is the meaning. Pious persons do not consider insubstantial, impermanent objects to be substantial and permanent. Though the objects are real, they are regarded as unreal because they are temporary. Even though all of us are existing together, but since our togetherness is only for some time only, so from the uh, immortality of time, from unlimited time point of view, our being together is of no use. So like we are separate for crores of years and we are together for 100 years. So what is the value of that 100 years? So like that, the sage is kind of indicating to the king, become composed and understand the reality of this material world. So like that. भूतेर्भूतानि भूतेश
भूतैर्भूतानि भूतेशः
सृजति अवति हन्ति च
सृजति अवति हन्ति च
आत्मसृष्टेर् अश्वतन्त्रैर्
आत्मसृष्टैर् अश्वतन्त्रैर्
अनपेक्षोऽपि भालवत्.
अनपेक्षोऽपि बालवत्. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the master and proprietor of everything, is certainly not interested in the temporary cosmic manifestation. Nonetheless, just as a boy at the beach creates something in which he is not interested, the Lord, keeping everything under his control, causes creation, maintenance, and annihilation. He creates by engaging a father to beget a son. He maintains by engaging a government or king to see to the public's welfare. And he annihilates through agents for killing, such as snakes. The agents for creation, maintenance, and annihilation have no independent potency. But because of the spell of the illusory energy, one thinks himself the creator, maintainer, and annihilator.
The Lord, indifferent like a child playing, creates, maintains, and destroys all beings by other beings who are created by Him and are dependent on Him. So then he kind of says in a philosophical way, whatever happening is all happening by the will of the providence, but the Lord who is doing everything is not attached to it. Previously, you questioned that Lord is not compassionate, Lord is not all knowing, Lord is not all powerful. For that, now he's answering that Lord is doing everything, but he is doing it as a play, and he is not at all interested in the what is happening within the play. So like that. Observing that your son was born, but by some harsh cause, was destroyed. He was destroyed. You think that you are bearing a son is good, and others destroying him is bad. The Lord creates living entities through fathers, maintains them through the kings, destroys them through the snakes. In the past, people used to be killed by snakes a lot. Thus, beings are created by the Lord and are dependent on the Lord. So it is the Lord who is causing our birth, it is the Lord who is causing our maintenance, it is the Lord who is causing our death. The snakes means Kala, the kings means Lord's potency, Apalana Shakti. But if the Lord is full in his desires, why does he create these beings? If Lord has full of desires, why is he creating all these people and playing with them, causing us suffering? Lord creates but is indifferent, like a boy playing. The small children, they play. After the play is over, they destroy. Just like on the river bank, they construct beautiful homes with the sand. But while going back, the with a small kick, the small child will destroy the entire house which he built painstakingly. Because the child, while for playing sake, he constructed. When play is over, he will destroy it. He was not attached to keep it for long. So something like that. So as long as play is there, play. After the play is over, then become indifferent to it. So like that. But the Lord is full of his desires. Why does he create all things? He creates, but is indifferent like a boy playing. Whatever Lord does, he does it like a small boy playing a game. So like that. Hare Krishna, any questions till now?
No, Prabhuji, thank you.
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. So we'll
How
have
do
a
we
small.
apply? Sorry,
Yes.
ask now or later?
Yeah, please ask now.
How do we apply this knowledge in our real life? I mean, we all have our families and friends.
Yes, Prabhu. That's what. See, this is the best example. You must have seen small kids playing. When they are playing, they invest their full personality in that play. When the play is over, they will never think about what they have made. Especially this example is given Prabhupada expressed in the purport also. On the river bank, they construct beautiful homes. But when they are coming back, that's all, they'll forget it. They'll not think about it tomorrow. But while play is going on, they were very careful to make very nice structure. Same way, while taking care of our dear, near and dear, we should be fully attentive. When time comes for the separation, one should be indifferent. Accept it as the will of the providence, accept it as the destiny. That's how the understanding is given in these verses. He's not telling that you should not be emotional, but accept the reality and then be emotional. So in that way.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you.
Okay, we'll quickly take a couple of minutes break and then we'll continue. Hare Krishna, devotees are there?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. We'll continue. Dehena dehino rajan,
Dehena dehino rajan,
dehat deho bijayate,
dehat deho vijayate,
bijad eva yata bijam,
bijat eva yatha bijam,
dehi artha iva shashvataha.
dehi artha iva shashvata. As from one seed, another seed is generated, O king. So from one body, body of the father, through another body, body of the mother, the third body is generated, body of a son. As the elements of material body are eternal, the living entity who appears through these material elements is also eternal.
So he's telling that just like one seed, one plant is coming, and from the plant, another seeds are coming. Similarly, from the body of the mother, through the body of a sorry, from the body of the father, through the body of the mother, the body of the child is born. So why are you lamenting? The body which you produced through your wife is lying in front of you. So what is the need to lament? He said that no, I'm lamenting for the son. But Jiva is eternal. There is no need to lament for the Jiva. Same thing which Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumanam yavanam jara tata dehantar praptir dira tatranam yati. When the body is growing from boyhood to childhood, childhood to boyhood to youth, you are not lamenting, you are joyous. When the person is changing from one body to other body at death, you are lamenting. So what kind of this thing is this? So like that. What you say is true. I, a father, created by the Lord, produced a son who is now dead. Therefore I lament. Then the two sages respond. Now, from this verse onwards, both Angira and Narada Muni are responding. By the body of the father, the body of the son is born from the body of a mother, just as a seed is born from another seed. Since the body of the son, which you produced, is present before you now, why do you lament? This is the intention of the statement. You are talking about the body. The son, the body is in front of you only. There is no need to lament. Then the king says, but I am lamenting because the jiva is no longer present. Only dead body is there. The soul is not there. They reply that the jiva is eternal. It is not produced by you. Thus, you have no relationship at all with the jiva. Your relationship is only with the body which you produce through your wife. Atma is eternal. It has come, it has gone. So you don't have any permanent relationship with Atma. So why do you lament for Atma? So like that, the both of them are speaking. Same thing Arjuna says. See, that is true. I accept the soul was existing in all phases of time, but currently this soul is my grandfather Bhishma, and I cannot have relationship with him as a grandfather in the future. Then Lord Krishna says, Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkada agama apayano nitya tamti sikshasta bharata. So happiness being together, distress being separate, they come and go as summer and rain season come and go. So a knowledgeable person should learn to tolerate such kind of coming and going. Only a person who can tolerate such kind of dualities of this world can become Dhira. Only such kind of Dhira can become qualified to attain liberation. Hemina Vetantete Purusham Purushachaba Samasukka Dukam Samadukka Sukam Dhiram. So Amrutatvaya Kalpate. So like that, Lord Krishna is enlightening Arjuna there. Similar kind of knowledge is being given by Narada and Angira here to King Citraketu. So they say now, Deha Dehi Vibhagoyam
देहदेहि विभागोऽयम्
Aviveka Kruta Pura
अविवेककृता पुरा
Jati Vyakti Vibhagoyam
जातिव्यक्तिविभागोऽयम्
Yata Vastuni Kalpitaha.
यथा वस्तुनि कल्पिता. Divisions of generalization and specification, such as nationality and individuality, are the imaginations of a person who are not advanced in knowledge.
Just as divisions of general and specific are imagined in the absolute, so divisions of body and soul with mutual dependence are imagined because of beginningless ignorance. Since the soul is the partner with the temporary body, it should also be temporary. So somebody may say that no, the soul and body exist together. The body is died, matlab soul also will die. Somebody may say, thinking like that, the sages are answering. The distinction of the soul and body, which seems to be mutually dependent, is produced from beginningless ignorance. Just as the divisions of generic and specific in the eternal Brahman is imaginary, since it cannot be discerned that they are mutually dependent. So Lord Krishna says same thing in the Bhagavad Gita as Vashamsha Jirnani Yata Vihaya Navani Grunanti Naroparaya. So just like we wear clothes, when the clothes become useless, we throw them away. Similarly, the soul wears the body, and when the body becomes useless, throws away. But there is no permanent relationship with the body and soul. So that one should understand. That is what is indicated here. So this is how, in a few verses, primarily Angira Rishi was trying to enlighten Citraketu Maharaj, and Narada Muni also kind of echoed along with him. So hearing these words, understanding the true essence of knowledge, because King Chitraketu is not an ordinary person, he is actually a religious, dharmic person, and he knew all these things, but somehow, because he was thinking about having a son for the benefit of his kingdom, for the benefit of his lineage, etc., etc., he kind of ignored all this knowledge previously. But now, because it is a crucial time, the great sages are speaking, and he cannot say that what you are speaking, I'm crying and I'm dying here. What is the use of all this knowledge? Like that is not saying. Since he had great respect for the great sages, and whatever the great sages said, he was listening and he was contemplating, and now he responds. Sri Shuka Uvacha.
Sri Sukha Vacha.
Evam Aswasito Raja.
Evam Aswasito Raja.
Chitraketurudvijoktibihi.
Citraketu
Vimrujya Panina Vaktram.
Vimrijya Panina Vaktram.
Adimlanam Abhasata.
Adimlanam Abhasata. Sri Sukhadev Goswami continue. Thus, enlightened by the instructions of Narada and Angira, King Chitraketu became hopeful with knowledge. Wiping his shriveled face with his hand, the king began to speak.
Yeah. Sri Rajo Vacha.
Sri Rajovacha
Kauyuvam Jnana Sampannao.
Kauvyuvam Jnana Sampanno
Mahistau cha Mahiyasham.
Mahishtav cha Mahiyasam
Avadutena Vishena. Avadutena Veshena.
Avadutena Vishena
Gudav Iha Samagatau.
Vivasamagatav. King Chitraketu said, "You have both come here dressed like Avadhutas, liberated persons, just to cover your identity. But I see that of all men, you are the most elevated in awareness. You know everything as it is. Therefore, you are the greatest of all great personalities."
So the king is saying that you too endowed with knowledge, greatest amount of greatest among the great, have arrived here in the dress of mendicants. Seems that they have hidden their identity. They have come like the mendicants, like Avaduta Brahmanas. The two sages are dressed as mendicants to hide their true identity. So then he says that why the great souls travel like Avadutas on surface of the earth? They travel in order to deliver the people. Janasya Krishna Vimukasya Daivad Adharma Shilasya Sudukkitasya Anugraha Eha Charanti Nunam Bhutani Bhavyani Janardanasya. In order to deliver the conditioned souls, in order to show compassion upon them, Iha Charanti Nunam Janardanasya. The people who are devotees of the Lord Janardana, they travel on the surface of the earth. Same thing now, King Citraketu will say. Charanti hi avanaukamam
Charanti hi avanau kamam
brahmana bhagavat priya
brahmana bhagavat priyah
madrisham gramya buddhinam
madrisham gramya buddhinam
bodhayonmatta linginaha.
bodhayonmattalinginaha. Brahmanas who are exalted to the position of Vaishnavas, the most dear servants of Krishna, sometimes dress like madmen, just to benefit materialists like us, who are always attached to sense gratification, and just to dissipate our ignorance. These Vaishnavas wander on the surface of the globe according to their desire.
Brahmanas who are Vaishnavas, the most dear servants of the Lord, Brahmana Bhagavat Priya, dress like the madmen, dress like Madrisham Grama Buddhinam. They dress like the people who are mendicants, Grama Buddhi Vale. No. Unmatta Linginam. Unmatta Linginam means Avaduta Vesha. They dress like the madman, wander the earth at will to enlighten the materialistic persons like me. Madrisham Grama Buddhinam. People like me who are Grama Buddhi Vale, who always think about the material well-being. In order to deliver people like me, the great souls travel on the surface of the earth like Unmatta Linginam, like the madmen, like Avaduta Vesha. And who are such kind of great souls? All the list of all great souls are indicated in the next two verses. All the great devotees of Supreme Lord are indicated in these verses. Kumaro Narada Rubuhu,
Kumaro Narada Rubhu,
Angira Devalosata,
Angira Devalosita,
Apantaratama Vyaso,
Apantaratamas Vyaso,
Markandeyota Gautamaha,
Markandeyota Gautama,
Vasishto Bhagavan Ramaha,
Vashishto Bhagavan Rama,
Kapilo Badarayani,
Kapilo Badarayani,
Durvasa Yajnavalkyascha,
Durvasa Yajnavalkasya,
Jatu Karnasa Taruni,
Jatu Karnastatharuni,
Romachascha Vanodatta,
Romashascha Vanodatta,
Asuri Sapatanjali,
Asuri Sapatanjali,
Rushirveda Daumyo,
Shirveda Shirodamyo,
Munihi Panchashikastata,
Munihi Panchashikastatha,
Hiranyanaba Kaushalya,
Hiranyanaba Kaushalya,
Rutadeva Rutadvaja,
Srutadeva Rudatvaja,
Ete Parecha Siddheshas,
Ete Pare Cha Siddheshas,
Charanti Jnana Hetavaha.
Charanti Jnana Hetava.
Perfect persons like the following wander, perfect persons like the following wander the surface of the earth to instruct Bhagavad Dharma to one and all. Who are the people who travel on the surface of the earth to instruct Bhagavad Dharma? Sanat Kumara, Narada, Rubu, Angira, Devala, Asita, Apantaratama, Vyasadeva, Markandeya, Gautama, Vashishta, Bhagavan Parashurama, Lord Kapila, Sukadeva Goswami, Durvasa, Yajnavalka, Jatukarna, Aruni, Romasha, Chavana, Dattatreya, Asuri, Patanjali, the great sage Daumya, who is like the head of the Vedas, the sage Panchashika, Hiranyanaba, Kaushalya, Rutudeva, and Rutadvaja. These are all different great personalities whom King Citraketu knows. All these people continuously travel on the surface of the earth in order to deliver Bhagavad Dharma to one and all, to the suffering conditioned souls for their deliverance. These are all wonderful personalities who know the knowledge about the Supreme Lord. Like that. So, because all these are great people who travel like the mendicant to disseminate the knowledge of the Supreme Lord, I think both of you must be among them only. Like that, he is telling. So here, Narada is there, Angira is there. So I think both of you are one among these great souls only. Like that, the king is going to say. Tasmad yuvam gramya pashor
तस्माद्युवां ग्राम्यपशो
mama modadiya prabhu
मम मूढधिया प्रभुः
ande tamasi magnasya
अन्धे तमसि मग्नस्य
jnana udiryatam.
ज्ञानदीप उदीर्यताम्. Because you are great personality, you can give me real knowledge. I am as foolish as village animal, like a pig or dog, because I am merged in the darkness of ignorance. Therefore, please ignite the torch of knowledge to save me.
Please kindle your flame of knowledge in me, a fool, a farm animal, okay? Gramme Pashu, drowning in the darkness of ignorance. Ande tamasi magnasya, jnana deepa udhiryatam, jnana deepena bhashvata. Like Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter. Same thing. So both of you, though appearing to be like a madman in the Avaduta Vesha, but both of you are the person with the complete knowledge about the Supreme Lord, wander on the surface of the earth to deliver people like me, who is a Gramya Pashu, fool number one. Please deliver me by giving some transcendental knowledge. That was the request of the king to the great sages. They already spoke something, and the king is asking for more for his deliverance. Now, again, Angira Rishi will say some words, and then Narada Muni will say some words. The discussion will go further. Any questions till now?
No, Prabhuji.
No, Prabhu.
Sri Angira Uvacha
Shri Angira Uvacha
Aham te putra kamasya
Aham te putra kamasya
putra dosmi Angira Nrupa
putra dosmi Angiran Ripa
Esha Brahma Suta Sakshan
Esha Brahma Sutah Sakshan
Narado Bhagavan Rishihi.
Narado Bhagavan Rishihi. Angira said, "My dear king, when you desired to have a son, I approached you. Indeed, I am the same Angira Rishi who gave you this son. As for this Rishi, he is the great sage Narada, the direct son of Lord Brahma."
Till now they were in a disguise. So now Angira Rishi revealing their identity. O king, I am the giver of the son to you, who desired a son, and this is Narada, a great sage, son of Lord Brahma. So introducing both of them, and then he'll continue. Ittam tvam putra shokena
Ittam tvam putra shokena
magnam tamasi dustare
magnam tamasi dustare
atadarham anusmrutya
atat arham anusmritya
mahapurusha gocharam
mahapurusha gocharam
anugrahaya bhagavata
anugrahaya bhavata
bhavatah praptau avam iha prabho
praptav avam iva prabho
brahmanyo bhagavad bhakto
brahmanyo bhagavad bhakto
navasaditum
navasaditam arhasi. My dear king, you are an advanced devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. To be absorbed in lamentation for the loss of something material is unsuitable for a person like you. Therefore, we have both come to relieve you from this false lamentation, which is due to your being merged in the darkness of ignorance. For those who are advanced in spiritual knowledge, to be affected by material loss and gain is not at all desirable.
Remembering you, who are unsuitably drowning in insurmountable ignorance because of sorrow for your son, and who can recognize great devotees, we have come here to give mercy to you. The devotee of the Lord who serves Brahmanas should not lament. So, my dear king, you are not an ordinary person, you are very religious, uh, dharmic king, and you always respect and take care of the great sages continuously. And such a person should not be in lamentation so much. Even last time also I came to help you come out of that thing, but you are so much drowned in the desire to have a son. It was I who gave bestowed you with a son, and now I came finding a suitable opportunity to give you a proper knowledge. Same condition we saw in the beginning of the sixth canto when Daksha also lost his sons two times, Haryeshwas and Savalashas. Nardamuni goes to him. So when he lost his sons in separation, Nardamuni thought that let him speak to him about the true purpose of life. But Daksha did not come out of that knowledge. He was not willing to hear from Nardamuni. That's why he could not get benefit. But now the king is willing to listen. He himself is requesting the sages to speak more so that he will get the proper knowledge. So that is the whole idea. You can see and think of the Lord's devotees and great sages. Because he served the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, he is called Brahmanya Bhagavad Bhakta. Actually, however, he was not a devotee at all. Of course, he was very religious minded. He was taking care of the great devotees and Brahmanas, etc. But he was not completely fully dedicated to the Lord. The reason is, if he was fully dedicated to the Lord, why would he criticize the Supreme Lord? He means his wife, and he did not say a word at all against that. So in that way. But he is a highly religious and respectable person, respecting Brahmanas and devotees and Vaishnavas who are traveling in the surface of the earth. In that way, he is a favorable candidate to take the Bhagavad Dharma instructions. That's why Angira Rishi brought Nardamuni also, so that the king can get special mercy of Nardamuni. That was the whole idea. Tadaiva te param jnanam
तदैव ते परं ज्ञानं
dadami grahamagataha
ददामि गृहमागता
ज्ञात्वन्याभिनिवेशं ते
ज्ञात्वान्याभिनिवेशं ते
पुत्रम् एव ददाम्यहम्.
पुत्रम् एव ददाम्यहम्. When I first came to your home, I could have given you the supreme transcendental knowledge. But when I saw that your mind was absorbed in material things, I gave you only a son who caused you jubilation and lamentation.
I would have given you spiritual knowledge when I first came to your house, but I gave you a son, knowing that you are absorbed in material objects. Because your mind was thinking about son, son, son only, so I gave son. To that son, I want to give you the spiritual knowledge. Though you are not destined to have a son, I gave you son so that you can come to this point where you can become a fertile ground to receive the spiritual instructions. That's how he said.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Ah.
Prabhuji, like at the beginning of the previous chapter also, we had discussed that King Citraketu's lamentation was not for not having son, for joy of having a child or like that, but he was more concerned that on two reasons, that there should be some heir for the kingdom after him, and there should be somebody to give pindadan to him and his pitras like that. And we had
Yeah,
also
that
yes
that
for
is there. The
king.
same thing
Yeah,
also mentioned by his wife also. But at the
yeah,
same time, he will have affection for children. Na? He is having a son after a long time, after many thousands of years, he is having a son. Who will not have affection to the child?
Yeah,
Everything
that
is
is
there.
clear. I am just trying to understand that it's at the back of the mind, these two reasons were there for him having so much eagerness to have a son. So when now Narad Muni and Angira Rishi is advising like that, they are saying that lamentation or loss of something which is material. So I'm trying to understand that to have a anxiety for somebody should be there to rule the kingdom, take care of the praja like that, and to Pitrus should be delivered. Are these two also considered as a material desires?
Yeah, no need to do so much thing here, according to the context, because the king is lamenting at the sight of the dead body. The dead body is considered to be matter. Till now, the distinction we have seen, the distinction between the soul and the matter. So, no need to extend this particular discussion to other things. Here, only the attachment to the matter means attachment to the body. As of now.
So here the prima facie is crying with death of a son. So at that
Yes.
level also only they are dealing with that.
Yes. Aduna put. Sorry.
I was thinking, Prabhuji, but that what actually the original desire was, that also should be addressed.
See,
For
Mataji, it is there, but when at the time of death, no one will think about all those things. ना अभी एक आदमी मर गया तो आप वो सब सोचेंगे क्या? Your main focus is only the death of the person, not about ये हुआ नहीं, वो हुआ नहीं, ये हुआ नहीं. No one will think at that point of time. Previously, in order to have a son, he had that back in the mind. I need to have a son who will carry the legacy. I need to have a son who will deliver us. Even the mother told, the wife told just now, if you die, who will deliver us? We all certain to go to hell. She said, even though they are saying that, but that is not the main concern. The main concern is all the son dead. Remaining all details. The main thing is dead.
and eventually, after getting the son, those two desires or whatever intentions were that they must have gone in background in the affection of son.
Obviously,
Right?
yeah, because of affection of son, they will because they, once you get it, it is automatically fulfilled. So you don't think about them so much. The son is there, okay, no problem. बाकी हो गया. He will become the king tomorrow, and he will also offer Shraddha rites for us. उसके लिए कोई सोचेगा नहीं ना बाद में.
Right. That attachment goes on increasing. Right. Okay, thank you.
Okay. अधुना पुत्रिणां तापो.
Aduna
Adhuna
putrinam ta.
putrinam
Please carry on.
Adhuna putrinam tapo
भवतैवानुभूयते.
bhavataivanubhuyate
एवं दारा गृहारायो.
evam dara griharayo
विविधैश्वर्य संपदः.
vividhaishwarya sampadaha
शब्दादायश्च वै विषयास्.
shabdadayascha vishayas
चला राज्य विभूतयः.
chala rajya vibhutayah
महीराज्यं बलं कोशो.
mahirajyam balam kosho
भृत्यामात्या सुहृज्जना.
भृत्यामात्यसुरिज्जनः
सर्वेऽपि शूरसेने मे.
सर्वेऽपि शूरसेने मे
शोकमोहाभयाद्रिता.
शोकमोह भयात्रितः
गन्धर्वनगर गन्- गन्धर्वनगर प्रख्याः.
गन्धर्वनगरप्रख्याः
स्वप्नमाया मनोरथाः.
स्वप्नमाया मनोरथः. My dear king, now you are actually experiencing the misery of a person who has sons and daughters. O king, owner of the state of Shurasena, one's wife, his house, the opulence of his kingdom, and his various other opulences and objects of sense perception are all the same in that they are temporary. One's kingdom, military power, treasury, servants, ministers, friends, and relatives are all causes of fear, illusion, lamentation, and distress. They are like a Gandharva Nagara, a non existent palace that one imagines to exist in the forest. Because they are impermanent, they are no better than illusions, dreams, and mental concoctions.
So these verses are similar to the verses spoken by Brahmana Bharata to King Rahugana. So there he said that, so currently you are the king of Sindhu Savira province, but previously I was the king of the monarch of the entire Bhumandala. I was being king previously, you are being king now. These are temporary things. Don't go after them. They are not a permanent reality. And also the hunter who was the merchant who went into the forest of material enjoyment and forgot his way, he also finds these sometimes Gandharva city. So that kind of concepts are being indicated here. Now you are experiencing the pains of a parent. Being a parent, at the death of your son, you are experiencing the pain. O king, don't think that only your son is very soon. All the things whom you love also will die. Who are all those things? Your wife, your house, the wealth of a kingdom, various other opulences, the objects of the senses, and the powers of ruling all are temporary. Even though you being the king, your wife being your wife, and all other opulences that you have, these are all temporary. They'll not be with you for all rest of eternity. Land, kingdom, military power, treasury, servants, ministers, friends, and relatives are all the cause of fear, illusion, lamentation, and distress. All these things at different times cause different problems. Sometimes they may be cause of the fear, sometimes they may be cause of illusion, sometimes they may be cause of lamentation, sometimes they may be cause of distress. They are all false, like a Gandharva city, like the objects of a dream, a magic show, or imagination. So in three conditions, we see things come and go. When you dream, you see beautiful cities. When you wake up from the dream, they are gone. In a magic show also, the magician will show you something beautiful, and after some time it will be disappeared. Even in our daydreaming, in our imagination also, we may imagine something beautiful, but afterwards it will be disappeared. Same way, though the kingdom is in front of you, though the capital, though the palace is in front of you, everything is there now. After 1,000 years, nothing will be seen. It is like a dream only. Just like in dream, you see so many things. After you come out of the dream, nothing is there. So like that. All these things, though you are with them, they are not permanent reality. One day they will become disappeared. They are all like Gandharva city. The Gandharva city means magic. It has been said that wife and other objects, because of being temporary, are not real, and because of appearing and disappearing, are the cause of suffering. Because these things, other things also, besides these things, other things also which are cause of lamentation, illusion, fear, and pain are also false. One perceives that dream objects are false when waking from a dream. Objects which appear through dreams, magic, and our imagination are all false like Gandharva city. So that was a small dream, and this is a big dream. So after our death, whatever we stay with in this life, they are all like a dream only. So don't be disturbed by the disappearance of some of the object from the dream. So today only your son is gone, but tomorrow everything will be gone away. It will be like a dream only. So this knowledge Angira Rishi is giving to King Citraketu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, ma'am.
Prabhuji, why is it said like Gandharva, non-existent like Gandharva cities? They don't have a proper place to stay Gandharvas or something?
No, not like that. The Gandharva city is given like that because all these in the fifth canto we were discussing, all these Gandharvas, Apsaras, they all stay in the heavenly abodes, Borloka, Swargaloka, and they reside in a Vimana. Their residence is actually the star that we see in the night time. Every star is
Yes.
like a Vimana. For example, if one star, that means one Gandharva's Vimana, comes to us in front of us,
Hmm.
so it will appear to us for some time. But will it remain in front of us always?
No.
It will go away.
Okay, so
Though
that is
the
what
city
it
is
is.
so beautiful, so wonderful to look at, we may be cherishing to live in that, but it will not stay with us for long. It will just come, it will appear to us and it will disappear.
Okay.
That's the meaning of Gandharva city.
Thank you.
Drishyamana vinartena
दृश्यमाना विनार्थेन
na drishyante manobhava
न दृश्यन्ते मनोभवा
karma birdhyayato nana
कर्मभिर्ध्यायतो नाना
karmani manaso bhavan.
कर्माणि मनसो भवान्. These visible objects like wife, children, property are like dreams and mental concoctions. Actually, what we see has no permanent existence. It is sometimes seen and sometimes not. Only because of our past actions do we create such mental concoctions, and because of these concoctions, we perform further activities.
Imaginary objects seen in the absence of real objects are not seen when waking from a dream. When we are in the dream or in a magic show, we see so many imaginary objects. That time we don't see the real objects. For example, we are sleeping in our home, and our home or the bed on which we are sleeping, we don't see them in the dream. What we see in the dream, they're all imaginary. But during the dream, we don't see any real objects, at least from the point of view of our existence. They are products of the mind. Whatever we see in the dream, everything has been created by the mind only. Actions for attaining objects for a person meditating on those objects because of impressions of karma are also made up of the mind. Just like the objects that we see during the dream, they are all imaginary and they are all creations of the mind. Similarly, even in the real world, the objects we create, the objects that we create by Lord hard work are also creations of our mind. It is a desire that produces in the mind that I want to have a home, and to construct the home we work very hard and we create that home. Though we may be spending 3-4 years, but the home is created within our in front of our eyes. Similarly, even just like in the dream, we may create some beautiful home with gold and all, but outside we may create one beautiful home with cement and all, cement and bricks. But after death, this entire house is nothing but is like something similar to the house of a dream. So like that. So from the eternality of time, we have to see the things that we do in this life as a dream object. That's how it is being indicated here. Imaginary objects are seen without some real objects such as tiger or snake existing. But when the dream is over, they are not seen. In the dream, we may see tiger or snake, but when you get up, you don't see. Impermanent objects like wife and false objects like dreams all arise from the mind, since they arise from desires in the mind. Actions also are composed of the mind because one meditates using one's mind on objects because of one's impressions of karma in order to carry out action. Because the action is composed of mind, the object attained is also made up of the mind. That means we have a desire in the mind. In order to fulfill the desire, we perform activity. Once we perform activity, we get the object. But neither our desire, nor our action, nor the object that we make through our action will remain eternally with us. Yes, they may be staying with us this entire life, but not after this life. So Angiroshi's point of view is, from the eternality point of view, whatever we have today, it's all temporary. Just like an object in the dream is temporary and unreal. Though the objects around us, though they are real, because they are temporary with respect to the long time, they also should be considered as illusory and unreal. That's how he is giving this understanding of indifference to current situation. Like that.
No, Guruji.
Ah,
Guruji, can you show the previous slide? Guruji, here it is mentioned that actions for attaining objects of a person meditating on those objects because
Hmm.
of impressions of karma are
Hmm.
also made of the mind. So
Hmm.
it means one's particular desire for particular sense object or whichever object like that in material life,
Hmm.
it is related to his karma in the past life or something like impressions of karma.
Yes.
That
The impression means samskara. Samskara means past karmas. Okay. How could you get the desire? That did not produce just to today. Achanak, it did not come. The desire, the particular desire comes because of our past impressions, which are because of our past activities. For example, in the previous life, you might wanted to construct a multi-story building, but you could not do it. That desire was still there. So that desire is popped up now. So in order to fulfill the desire, you work hard to construct a multi-story building. So in that way.
so like that means if we extend this to understand Prabhuji, like those who are maybe having bad habits or those who are drunkard or a murderer or something, so they also must be harboring their karmas were like that in the past life. Because of that they develop such nasty desires like that it should
Ah,
be understood.
yes, perfect. What we are today is what we desired in the previous life. And what we are today, the similar things will also continue in our future lives.
Prabhuji, sorry, but there is a difference between what we desired in the past life and what karmas we did in the past life because of which we are getting something now, like that. No,
No,
means
not
what
different.
they
See,
think.
it is not like same thing. It is like similar things. How it happens may not be the way we want, but similar kind of way things manifest.
Okay, or maybe somebody had a particular desire, that is why he performed particular karmas in previous life. Because
Yeah,
of that,
obviously.
those impressions now, in a culmination of both, now he has developed particular kind of desires, right?
Yes. Particular the kind of desire, particular kind of mentality. Shraddho mayo ayam purusha, as Lord Krishna says in the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. A person is made up of a particular belief system, particular kind of Shraddha. But Shraddha is made because of our previous likes, activities, previous lives association, previous lives desires, previous lives endeavors. All these things play a role in our personality. That's why we say even Bhakti also, this life we may endeavor hard to attain perfection. But if we are not done, the desire is there. If the desire is strong, in the next life from the very birth we start endeavoring for attaining perfection.
So, like that, Prabhuji, if somebody has intense desire to go back to Godhead and stay with the Lord eternally and in his association, so means his next life he will get that particular kind of an environment so that he
Yes,
can.
obviously. Definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Just last four verses we just quickly read through. Ayam hi dehi no deho
Ayam hi dehino deho
dravya jnana kriyatmakah
dravya jnana kriyatmaka
dehino vivida klesha
dehino vividha klesha
santapa krudvudahruta.
santapa krudura krudurdaruta.
I will only
Living
read
and
the translation. I will only read the translation. The body of the jiva, who thinks he is the body, is composed of the gross organs, the sense devatas, and the senses. That means our body is made up of three things: Adhyatma, Adibhuta, and Adidaiva. Adidaiva is the sense devatas, Adhyatma is the senses, Adibhuta is the gross organs. But when we think that I am the body, it is said that this body gives various types of suffering and pain to the jiva. When we identify ourselves with the body, then there is a problem, then there is trouble. It has been explained that attachment to objects is the cause of suffering. Now, identification with the body is described. The body of the jiva who thinks he is the body is made of gross elements, sense devatas and senses. This you can see from second canto 5th chapter and second canto 10th chapter. Adhyatma, Adibhuta, they are clearly explained in that section. But whatever it is, though this body is made up of three things, but if you identify this body the cause of all troubles. Adhyatmika klesha, Adi Bhautika klesha and Adi Daivika klesha. Like that. Therefore, one should not identify with the body, one should not identify with the things around us in order to become happy. Because the king is saying that Lord does not want me to be happy. Because I wanted to become happy by having a son previously. Now I wanted to remain happy by continue to have the son with me. Previously, Lord made me miserable by not giving the son, and now Lord making me miserable by taking away the son. The Rishi is saying that the happiness is not because of the things with you. You will have happiness when you don't identify with the things with you. That is the real happiness. Because anyway, the things of this world are temporary. A temporary thing cannot give you happiness. So in that way, the Rishi is saying. Tasma swastena manasa
Tasmat swastena manasa
vimbrusha gatimatmanaha
vimbrishya gatimatmanaha
vaite dhruvartha vishrambam
tvaite dhruvartha vishrambham
त्यजोपशमम् आविशा.
tyajo pashamama vishaha.
Therefore, considering with steady mind the truth about the soul, give up faith that temporary objects are eternal in this world. Temporary objects are eternal in this world of duality and take shelter of detachment. So finally the sage is telling that therefore kindly understand the distinctions between the body and the soul, and whatever faith you had that the things around me will be with me eternally, to give up that mentality and develop detachment to things around you, the people around you. Develop a kind of detachment. You as the soul has nothing to do with this world, because in the past you never had any relation with these people. In the future also you will not going to have relationship with these people, and somehow they are in relation with you for now. That is also temporary. So this relationship is not a permanent thing. Don't be disturbed by the separation of that relationship. Instead, become detached. Be indifferent to things around you. So in that way, with undisturbed mind, consider the truth of the soul. Give up faith of affection, thinking that temporary objects are eternal. In the world of duality, thinking the words of temporary objects are eternal in the worlds of duality. Holding the conception of this world, me and my objects, with aham mameti, please give up that aham mameti concept and hold on to them. That is the only way you can become happy and take shelter of a peaceful mind. Don't make so many plans to get this, that, all these things. Become peaceful and become happy. That is the only way. So these are the few words that are spoken by Angira Rishi. He has given the essence of all knowledge in few verses, which Narada Muni spoke elaborately to Prachina Barhi in the 4th canto, the 29th chapter. Whatever he spoke in the whole chapter, here Angira Rishi gave in small essence. Even whatever Brahmana Bharata spoke to King Rahugana, here Angira Rishi gave the same thing in few verses in essence. So after Angira Rishi spoke elaborately, before the request and after the request, now Narada Muni takes the ropes in his hand. So he will speak elaborately in the next chapter, and he will give mantra by which he will be delivered. Sri Narada Uvacha
Sri Narada Uvacha
Etam Mantropanishadam
Eta Mantropanishadam
Praticha Pratayo Mama
Praticha Prayato Mama
Yam Darayan Saptaratrad
Yam Darayan Saptaratrat
Drishta Sankarshanam Vibhum.
Drishta Sankarshanam Vibhum.
Narada Muni is saying that attentively receive a mantra from me. Embodying the Upanishads, meditating on it, after 7 nights, you will be able to see Lord Sankarshana. So, my dear king, please take initiation from me. I'll initiate you with a special mantra, following which, in 7 days, you will be able to have the darshan of Lord Sankarshana. What is the eternal object? So, in the previous verse, it was mentioned that don't consider the temporary objects to be eternal in this the material world of dualities. Then the king asked, so then please tell me what is that eternal object to which I am supposed to be attached? That eternal object will be narrated now. Please tell me what it is. Since Narada was a great devotee, at the suggestion of Angira Rishi, Narada then spoke. Accept this Upanishad in the form of a mantra. The essence of the Upanishad, Narada Muni will give as a single mantra. And following that one mantra, you will understand, you will realize, and you will attain the one and only permanent object, the supreme absolute truth. So like that. So what is that supreme absolute truth? In brief, it is Yat Padamulam Upashrutya Narendra Purve
Yatpadamulam upasrutya Narendra Purve
Sarvadyo Brahmam Imam Vitayam Visrujya
Charvadayo Brahmamimam Vitayam Visrujya
Sadyastadhiyamatula Sadyastadhiyamatula Nadikam Mahitvam
Sadyastadiyamatulanadhikam mahitvam
Prapurbhavanapi Param Nachiradupaiti.
Prapurbhavanapi param nachiradupaiti.
The different attributes of this particular permanent thing, just like in the Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter, Lord Krishna says, Narupamasya tatopalabhyate nanto nachadir nachasampratishta ashwattamenam suvirudamulam asanga shasrena drudena chitva. So this verse talks about this material world, which is compared to a banyan tree and ashwatha tree. And then he says that you have to cut down this tree with the weapon of asanga, detachment. Then tata padam tat parimargitavyam yasmin gatana nivatanti bhuya tameva chadyam purusham prapanna yata pravrutte prasuta purani. After cutting from the very root this tree of material existence with the weapon of detachment, one should search for the immortal nectar which is stored underneath the root. Having attained that, one will never return to the tree of samsara. And it is he who is the cause of this material existence. That is the supreme absolute truth, the permanent reality. So, my dear king, in former days, Lord Shiva and other devatas, taking shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Sankarshana, immediately got free from the illusion of duality and achieved unequaled and unsurpassed glory. You will very soon attain that very same position. So here Narada is saying that, my dear king, I am not trying to give you some achpash thing. I am trying to give you that mantra, which mantra was accepted by Lord Shiva and great sages, the four Kumaras, etc., who following which attained the mercy of Lord Sankarshana in the past, and they became great, famous as a result of that. I'll give you that. And by following in their footsteps, if you do the same thing, you will also attain the same thing in no time. Same great position. So this is how Narada Muni has glorified the potency of the mantra that is going to award. In the next chapter, before awarding that mantra, first of all, in order to make him steady in his detachment. Whatever Angira Rishi spoke as an essence, the same thing again will be repeated by the dead son. Narada Muni make the dead son alive. The very first question Angira Rishi asked that, who is he to you? What relationship do you have with him? He said, he is my son, I am his father. Then what about that relationship in the past life, in the next life? The same thing objectively will be told by the son itself, son himself. When son says same things again, the king is firmly convinced. Now 50% is convinced. After hearing from the son, he is 100% convinced. Then Narada Muni will initiate him, and then further things are mentioned. So this is how this chapter is kind of brief introduction to the brief essence of the entire Vedic literatures presented by Angira Rishi unto the king for the benefit of the king. So it's like that. So we'll stop here with these few words. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Prabhuji,
Ah.
next Saturday there will be not class. We have to supposed to write the exam.
No, next week. So first exam will be there, followed by we can also have small class. I will let you know whether I will be able to take class or not. I'll let you know on that day. But if at all class is there, it will be there for 1 hour. Small class will be there. First exam will be there, 6 to 7. After 7, we'll have class.
Okay. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Grantara
you.
Srimad
Thank you,
Bhagavatam ki
Prabhuji.
jai. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava
Jai.
Bhaktivinoda ki jai.
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 Hare Krishna, Dharma.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you for joining.